The year was 424 BCE, deep into the Great Peloponnesian War, a conflict that had already consumed Greece in fire and blood for nearly a decade, and now Athens, bold and restless, sought to strike at Boeotia, the land of Thebes, both to secure its northern frontier and to weaken Sparta's strongest ally. The chosen target was the sanctuary of Delium, a sacred site of Apollo perched near the Euboean Gulf, where the Athenian general Hippocrates, confident and eager for glory, led an army of nearly 15, 0 men 7, 0 hoplites, light troops, cavalry, and their allies to fortify the temple and hold it as a forward base. Yet as he set about entrenching his camp with palisades and earthworks, news came that the Boeotians, led by Pagondas of Thebes, were assembling a force of equal or greater size to meet him in battle. Pagondas, though an old man, was a master of deception and innovation, and he would prove on this day that strategy could outweigh even the courage of Athens. The battlefield lay upon the plain not far from Delium itself, a mix of rolling ground and broken scrub, the autumn air thick with dust as the two armies drew up in their traditional phalanx lines, the Boeotians numbering about 7 hoplites, supported by cavalry and light troops, had arrayed with their Theban contingent placed unusually deep 25 ranks instead of the normal 8, so that their right wing would smash with irresistible weight against the Athenian left, a tactical surprise that would decide the day. At first, the armies faced one another in tense silence, bronze gleaming in the sun, shields braced, spears angled forward like a forest of death. The stillness broken only by the flutes of the Thebans sounding their slow, steady march. Then, with a sudden cry, the line surged forward, the earth shaking beneath the tramp of thousands, and the two phalanxes crashed together with a thunderous roar, shields slamming, spears thrusting, the whole world reduced to the choking dust, the clash of iron, and the cries of men fighting for their city's honor. On the Athenian right, success came swiftly, for there their hoplites pushed back the Boeotian left, sending men fleeing toward the hills. But on the opposite flank, the trap was sprung. The massively deep Theban column, packed tight with layer upon layer of shields and spears, struck the Athenian left with crushing force, their sheer weight and momentum driving the Athenians back step by step, the line buckling. Men crushed together, unable to resist the rolling tide of bronze and muscle that bore down upon them. As the Athenian left collapsed, panic spread along the line, and though Hippocrates urged his men to rally, the pressure became unbearable. At that critical moment, Pagondas revealed his second stratagem, sending his cavalry suddenly around the flank of the Athenians, creating the illusion of fresh reinforcements. And the sight broke Athenian morale entirely, for what had begun as a balanced contest turned into a rout. Men casting aside shields and fleeing toward Delium or the coast, hunted down by Boeotian cavalry and light troops who showed no mercy. Thousands fell in the pursuit, their bodies scattered across the plain, among them Hippocrates himself, slain in the rout, and the survivors who fled to the sanctuary at Delium fared little better. For the Boeotians, unwilling to tolerate the desecration of their holy site, besieged it fiercely, even using an early form of flamethrower, a device of hollowed logs and bellows to blast burning pitch and sulfur against the wooden palisades, setting the fortifications ablaze and driving out the defenders, many of whom were cut down or captured in the chaos. By the battle's end, Athens had lost nearly 0 hoplites, a devastating blow, while the Boeotians, though victorious, suffered fewer than 500 casualties, and the field was littered with the dead, their shields, spears, and helmets glinting in the fading light as crows circled overhead. Among those who survived was the philosopher Socrates, then a middle-aged hoplite, who fought with distinction, retreating in good order rather than fleeing in panic, and according to later tradition, it was his composure under fire, his refusal to abandon his post, that left a lasting impression on his young companion Alcibiades, who would one day lead Athens to both triumph and ruin. The defeated Delium was more than a lost battle. It was a humiliation, for Athens had not only failed to seize Boeotia, but had profaned the sacred sanctuary of Apollo, inviting both human scorn and divine wrath. And the loss shook the city's confidence at a time when the war's tide seemed ever more uncertain. To the Boeotians, however, Delium became a triumph, a proof that Thebes and her allies could stand toe-to-toe with mighty Athens, and it strengthened their role as a dominant force in central Greece. And so, the Battle of Delium stands in memory not as a shining victory, but as a warning, a testament to overconfidence undone by strategy, where the courage of Athens was shattered by the cunning of Pagondas, where a philosopher carried his shield while generals fell, and where the sacred ground of a god became the stage for slaughter, fire, and the endless tragedy of Greek fighting Greek.